My 48F husband, 51M, openly brags to me and the kids about how many women throw themselves at him. My husband and I are expats in a country where the average household considers themselves lucky to make $2,000 to $3,000 a year. For the purpose of not giving too much identifying information out, I will be referring to the country as Country E. 2.5 years ago, my husband, who works in finance, was promoted to a position in which he could finally have the compensation, authority, and projects that he always dreamed of. The downside was that the position would be in the company's headquarters in another country, required us to move away from our family and friends, but I was so excited for my husband, and our kids, 15F and 10M, were so happy about experiencing another culture, as well as supporting their dad, that we urged my husband to take the position. Because they were telling my husband they wanted to see him there as soon as possible, we agreed that he would go settle in and we would fly over around 2 months later. It seems that the moment his plane took off towards Country E marked the beginning of the end of all his feelings of respect and appreciation for me and the kids. After just 2 months apart, I could sense a drastic change in my husband. He went from calling me and the kids every day to every other day, and then reducing communication to texts. At first I thought he was just busy settling in, but the night before we were to fly out, he video chatted us and the kids asked him why he seemed disappointed that we were coming. He said that they were imagining things and it was just how his face looked on camera. As we settled into our new home, he shot us pretty resentful looks and continuously snapped at me not to touch this or that. Like most expats, we lived in a home that was miles grander and showier than we could ever get back home, and with a lot of stuff like a company car and housekeeping services paid for by the company. My husband had money to burn and started having ridiculously high expectations about how we dressed and looked. He bought himself loads of designer watches with his fellow corporate masters of the universe friends and spent lavishly at restaurants and bars on the company tab. He also invested quite a bit of our money in real estate here, since the government is pushing for foreign investors to invest, even adopting more liberal outward rhetoric in order to be appealing to the West. The country we live in has extreme wealth disparities, most of it unfortunately not held by locals. There is a center city area where all the basically high-end stores, hotels, clubs, and restaurants, as well as homes, are in the country. And despite the fact that this country is technically conservative, escorting is rampant and is an outgrowth of the generally desperate economic straits of families and the fact that it is obvious who has money and therefore where to go and who to target. Escorts are apparent basically everywhere in the area we live where there are restaurants or bars or entertainment. When men see dressed-up local women in pairs roaming around an establishment, they assume they are escorts, and 90% of the time they are right. An expat friend once asked a woman who approached him in a bar what she did, and she said it was obvious what she did. My husband started criticizing my appearance a lot, and when we'd go out he'd ask if I ever considered wearing my hair like woman A, B, or C. Or we'll go out to eat as a family and he will ignore what the kids are saying and just stare at different women. When his friends come over, my husband always brags, in front of me, about the women that approach him. Not just at bars, but he also brags about how local women who work in the office with him are also exceptionally engaging. He got very aggressive in bed and said that he wanted to choke me and urinate on me. When we tried out BDSM, he pulled my hair hard enough to draw blood, and when I said I didn't want to do it anymore, he started screaming that a bunch of women who look exactly like his type would be eager to do it all and more for less than I spend on dinner. My daughter found a bunch of contacts on his phone that blew up his phone with flirty messages on WhatsApp, and instead of at least pretending to be ashamed for our daughter's sake, he went the "your dad is still attractive" angle, but botched it terribly when it turned into a diatribe about how he had to give out the number to one woman because she looked close to tears when he tried to pull away. While most women are respectful when a man is with his wife and or family, sometimes it happens where at restaurants and hotels where my husband is a regular for dinner, women who I assume are also regulars will disregard my presence and give me a scornful once-over. When we are out as a family and my husband sees a woman give his attire an approving once-over, he will smile flirtatiously back and seem to bask in the glow and not pay attention to me or the kids. I have been to support groups and have been told to let it wear off because many other wives have experienced their husbands being drunk on attention. But my husband seems to be getting more and more obsessed about the attention. My son is young, but he has gone from happy-go-lucky to glaring at his father and whoever he is smiling at. My husband and I have tried to communicate, but everything turns into my fault. I do not appreciate his contributions enough when I disagree with him, saying the kids don't need to learn how to do laundry because the housekeeper will do it for them. I do not appreciate him when I refuse to have sex for the third time in a night. I do not appreciate him when I move the furniture from how he organized it or when I disagree with him on anything. I started tracking our banking information and found out that he made numerous large withdrawals. He denied vehemently that he was seeing escorts and said I seemed jealous and had something against people who escort. I told him that to the contrary, that I feel bad for people who need to put their lives and healths at risk like this and do not have access to any forms of government assistance. We had a big fight that night and I went to stay with a friend for the night to cool off. When I came back home, he glared at me and said, "Oh, you're back. What if I don't want you here anymore?" I do not know what to do. My support group keeps telling me that he will get off his power trip, but if I leave him I will likely lose any assets he has here. My kids obviously still have school and love their classmates. I need any advice about how to save my marriage or how to get my husband to stop thinking that I am not enough for him when I haven't changed from when we were not expats. Yet while he respected and appreciated me back home, he scorns me here. My wife, 24F, and I, 30M, have been trying to conceive for 4 months, but now I've accidentally found out she's taking birth control. I'll try to keep this as short as possible. Also, English is not my first language. My wife and I have been in a relationship for 4 years. I am aware of our age difference, so when we started dating I immediately made it clear I was looking for a serious relationship and I would like to have children in the future. About 4 months ago we made the decision to start trying for a baby and I stopped using contraceptives. Obviously, I am not in my 20s anymore, so I knew it would probably take some time until we would actually conceive. I didn't think it was weird that she hadn't gotten pregnant yet, but I did notice that she seemed to be keeping something from me. A few days ago, I discovered birth control pills in her handbag. I wasn't snooping around or anything, I just found it by accident. She asked me to bring her bag from the living room because she needed her wallet, but instead of bringing her the whole bag, I just grabbed the wallet itself, and that's when I discovered the pills. She doesn't know that I know about them. It's really weird, because not only did we decide to start trying, but my wife is also strongly against using birth control or any hormonal contraceptives in general. It concerns me that she clearly doesn't trust me enough to tell me that she's not ready for a baby. If she had told me that she doesn't want to try to conceive, I would have fully accepted that decision. Sure, I would have maybe been slightly disappointed, but I would never try to make her feel bad because of her decision. If she's not ready for a baby, I will not rush her. So now I don't really know what to do. I'd like to confront her about this, but I genuinely don't know how to do that without making her feel like I'm trying to push her, if you get what I mean. At this point I don't even know if I should even confront her about this. Do I just wait until she tells me herself? I mean, how long will she try to hide this from me? TLDR, my wife and I have been trying to conceive for 4 months. When I opened her bag a few days ago to get her wallet, I discovered birth control pills. She's always been against hormonal contraceptives.